welcome to The Last Word, live on NTV every Tuesday at 9:30. It's 16 days of activism marked by the 25th, where we begin with an International Day against gender-based violence and femicide. And as we categorically get into this discussion, today we dive into a very important topic, one that sheds light as we approach the by-elections on Thursday this month. And today's question: does Kenya have the political and social goodwill to end political hooliganism? And in today's discussion, we're going to be joined by Francis Mwangangi, the Deputy Governor of Machakos, Darius Okola, the political and economic researcher at Odipodev. We're going to also be joined by Frank Waluke, who is the Deputy Chair, External Programs CMD. And this discussion is very much accompanied by a live audience that continues to fill these conversations. And with our live audience, we have our cards to vote out the good and to vote out the bad. And of course, with me, I'm seated with incredible gentlemen who happen to be part of my panel, Eric Latif and James Smart. My name is Zaha Indimuli, and welcome to The Last Word. So, my very beloved panelists, hooliganism is a whole natural phenomenon in Kenya's politics, and it's ingrained with how we see political classes and political associations working across the architecture of politicking in Kenya. And we've seen this trend happening for so many years. What are really our thoughts? Does Kenya really have not only the moral backbone, but the political and social goodwill, even if leave alone any will, to ever end hooliganism in our context?
You want me to start? What's hooliganism in the first place, right? It's described in very many ways. There was a recent report by the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, which was looking at how politicians organize gangs around them for purposes of mobilization, for purposes of protection. In various aspects, it's going to be called, you know, your security squad. In others, it's going to be called your mobilization squad. Yeah. The other is going to be called your hype squad, who are also very ready to deal with any emerging issues. Now, that's where the hooliganism comes in. When we say whether Kenya is, and I like the question tonight, we're asking whether Kenya is ready. It's on all of us, how we organize our politics. Yeah. To what extent and degree do we actually accommodate and allow this sense of hooliganism? And we call it hooliganism when it becomes violent. If it's just your crowd coming and, you know, riding border borders and hooting and making all the noise and all, that's not hooliganism. But when they become violent, that's when they become hooligans. Yeah. So to what extent are we ready to do away with that bad side, but still retain the hype of the politics? I think tonight we're going to have a very interesting conversation to see whether we actually are ready at all.
100%. And James, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I first want to see what everyone thinks, but I think, just from a very top level, I think our politics doesn't work, which is why we need goons. There is absolutely no way you're going to have to beat up someone or beat up other people who you disagree with politically, and then make sense of that you're going to vote for this person because we overwhelmed their side. And then some will believe that the person that we've elected is going to work for me. I think that is an absolute lie, and I think as Kenyans we keep on lying to ourselves that our politics doesn't work. And the goons, as an indicator, perhaps the biggest insight that our politics doesn't work. But this is what I think. You all have a card. Green for, you know, yes, red for no. Please raise it up. Do you think that we have political and social goodwill as a people to deal with the goonism with our politics? Yes, green, no, red. Let's see the votes. Raise them high. Okay. Please hide. Do not feel embarrassed with your vote.
Not be scared.
There are no goons here. There are no goons.
There are no goons in your midst.
It appears that, wow. Just keep it for a second. Just keep it for a second. And look at the screens and see what is happening.
People are saying they're not ready.
We are not ready.
I'm saying we are not ready, or it is not happening.
We need our goons.
It's basically saying that
yes.
Kenya, we don't have the social, because this is the social.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have the social goodwill
Goodwill.
to end hooliganism.
No.
That's very interesting.
Interesting.
Right. There's some microphones. Let's start with smartly dressed. Let's start with you. Yes, you. Okay.
Okay.
Please pass the mic to the back. Okay. Yes, let's start with you. Please stand. Very early on. Tell us your name. You voted? No.
My name is Vast President from Jubilee. I think that before we go forward, we need to ask ourselves why we don't have the social goodwill to end hooliganism.
Okay. There's
the
a problem with the microphone. Could you just hand the microphone to her, please? Just apologies for that. Yes, and hand the microphone to come this way.
Microphonic goonism.
Right. Okay, please start again. What is your name? And why do you think we cannot get rid of this goonism of the goon behavior?
My name is Vast Priska from Jubilee Youth League, and I think we do not have the political or social goodwill to end hooliganism in politics. And before we move forward, we need to ask ourselves, why do we need hooliganism in politics? It's because we do not have, as a people, trust in our institutions. We do not have trust that our public institutions will work. So we need to resort to force. That's why there's a lot of force. We don't trust that the police will do their work. And I think we also, because of poverty and other factors, we romanticize hooliganism. We see the people who are forceful, and those people who will be fighting, those are the people who are leaders. Because
They're the people who make it, yeah?
Yeah, because nothing works. So we romanticize that. That's
Very
interesting.
interesting.
Nothing works.
Romanticization of violence. What's very
Right.
Hooliganism is a career.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes. Let's get some voices of the people before we come to the experts. Yes, please.
Well,
What was your vote?
my vote is that we do not have the political goodwill, but yes, we have the social goodwill.
Yeah.
Now, my name is Eric Kim from Embo County. I'm the president of the International Students Association. Now, the greatest misdoing of our country is some of the political leaders that we have. For example, when we talk about hooliganism, sometimes we see leaders tend to become too tribal, such that they set a community against another. And mind you, we can have a county that is metropolitan. For example, Nakuru County, where they have many communities. Then a leader comes and says, Mulima, comes and says, Akikuyu. Yet in the same county, the people of that county, they will all vote for a governor. So what am I saying? That the reason why we do not have the political goodwill, it's because some of our leaders are extremely tribal, such that they cannot accommodate other people. They cannot accommodate people of different tribes or even different creeds. And that is why we hope of a country, Kenya, where people get development, where people get opportunities, not based on their tribe, but because it is their constitutional duty.
Eric, if I may ask you a question, you said your name
Yes,
is
please.
Eric, right? And you're from Embu. How far?
Yes, please.
It's a goonism behavior, but anyway.
How far are you from Mbeere North?
Actually, my constituency is Manyata constituency, but I have been actively involved in the Mbeere North politics.
Haya. Kuna kioski imefunguliwa?
Mbeere North, hakuna kioski imefungwa, supermarkets zimefunguliwa. Yes.
And what does that mean? That means that people are getting paid to participate in the elections, or in the campaigns and all.
What I've seen...
Have you seen a mobilization of a group that you would classify as goons?
Perhaps yes. But this is the whole issue. Mbeere North, we have been treated to a show whereby one team is going to the people with solid solutions that they are going to offer once they get power. And that is the UDA team and their candidate Wamudhende.
Okay.
Because they have gone with a clear manifesto.
Is it according to you or according to the ground? Which one
according to the ground, and truth is truth, even if we do not believe in it.
Okay.
So once we have the UNDA candidates tabling a clear manifesto with clarity of purpose and vision, how is going to solve the problems we have in Bere. Now, of course, the other people, being led by their tribal master, one Rigathi Gachagua, they feel intimidated. And
well, umekuwa kwa goon. Have you been?
I have not been a goon. I want to explain how we got, because on Sunday we got.
The question, Eric.
Yes.
Have you witnessed the mobilization using financial resources or any other way of people to go and disrupt other people's rallies?
Goonism.
Goonism is what we are dealing with. It is not the credibility or incredibility of the candidates and the campaigns. It is on the issue of hooligans. Have you witnessed it in this election, in past elections?
In last Sunday, we had such an incident in Bere North, actually sadly in a church, where one person who is the PA to the CS Rocco was attacked while in a church by people, supporters affiliated to one Rigathi Gachagua. And that is the point I was driving, Latife. One of the reasons...
Remember, campaigns are done, so you'll not mention, which candidate is doing one or the other.
Yeah.
And also, we are not personalizing this conversation, right? So that's a conversation for the whole room. You're not personalizing the conversation. It is the issue of hooliganism, right? So thank you, Eric, for that. There was somebody else with a hand who said yes. Let's actually now see. There are people who are hopeful in this country.
Optimistics.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anjoy. I'm a student in Kenyatta University, a student leader, and I'm also the Vice President, Kiambu Youth Assembly. And more of it, I'm an active citizen of Kenya. I said yes, but it's inconsistent. Like the will is inconsistent because politically, politicians or our leaders do come and tell us we want this violence to end, we want this goonism to end, but deep down, they really enjoy it during their campaign period because it benefits them in some points. Socially, still, we want to live peacefully, but deep down, as youths, when we don't have enough, maybe money to cater for our needs, where we get that money, we take it. So if at all we are being paid to be a good, and it's a fast get money, you take it. So that's why I will say it's partially, it's so inconsistent. We want it to end. We have the will to end it, but it's not ending. So I will conclude by, in theories, we have the will to end it, but in the ground, things are so different. Thank you.
Interesting. I think we have another yes. This side, there is absolutely no hope. Eh? There's one on the far end.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Java Sabich. I'm a student leader at JKUAT, and I'm also a chairperson of the JKUAT Peer Mentorship Association. So when I was trying to look at this topic, I saw that it is something that just like my sisters echoed it out, it is something that is partial. So it is dependent on various factors. And the very first factor that can make us end the hooliganism is the fact is that there is a social goodwill. But the same way she said, I point out that when it comes to the ground, there are factors that can make the social goodwill not to get impacted because there are people, or rather the youths, fighting for unemployment rates and any other thing. And when it gets to a point where they get an opportunity, let's say, to be given a token, let's say to support a political leader outside there, they cannot literally oppose because the state of the country literally is not in that good state. So for us to end this thing, it is dependent on one thing, on the leaders, if they know their main purpose as to why they are entering into the state that they want to lead in. Let's say if you get to a leader, let's say that he or she knows the vision that he is having as a leader, he is, let's say, is somebody who is, let's say, impactful to the people. The people will see that this is somebody who can run, who can rule us, and it will get to a point where people will not even see the essence of, let's say, taking some tokens so that you can assist this leader to get to those positions. So this thing is just a broad, or rather it is a double-ended point. There is a political, there is a social goodwill, but the matters that are at the ground cannot make it to be effected. So if the government, or rather the political leaders, can work on how they work and how they make decisions to our country, it is something that can be effected. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to the audience. We're going to come back to the audience, and I think now that we have experts in the room, just to paint a picture as we dive into this discussion, in my opinion, and consciously doing an analysis of just Kenya as a case study, again, we're focusing on our country primarily. The politics of Kenya has normalized chaos in its essence, from what is happening in our polling stations to how we are receiving the results to how we are campaigning. It is socialized as a part of politics. So as we're thinking about where exactly is the political and social goodwill, we have to have an honest conversation about who the responsibility also goes to, and it's both citizens and politicians, right? And then, of course, we have to see the important bias that is utilized economically, because you have a very big youth bulge that has a lot of unemployment. And so mobilization becomes easy because this tends to be a quick supply of economic support, right? One way or another, young people vulnerably are cornered into taking this money to do these things, courtesy of the fact that there is no other end, for example. And then, of course, I feel like it's good for us to honestly understand that it's often used as a political tool, because in cases of violence, it tends to push back on dissent. It tends to push back on truth spaces that continue to exist, and it shrinks the civic space. And then, of course, there's selective enforcement of laws. We have a whole campaign act, right? We have a whole elections act. And often when these election problems and mistakes are being done, we are seeing selective enforcement that follows up on these cases. So I'd want to bring our guests into the forum, and I think I'll start with you, Mr. Francis, especially since you're sitting at a point of governorship whereby, even in your quest to power, have you seen the utilization of hooliganism? Have you seen spaces where politicians are calling it out? What is the landscape of hooliganism, truthfully, in your perspective?
It is there.
You have accepted. It is
and,
there.
We have a by-election in a county where I come from.
Yeah.
And I remember in the last 2 days, there has been some incidents where almost a vehicle got burnt, where there was a fight. Some people supporting this, others supporting that. At the country's level, because we have said we give our country as a case study, I take my audience and viewers back to 2007, 2008. How does some of these things happen? It is true, there is high rate of unemployment in our country. But it is also true we have institutions created through our constitution. Now, those charged with the responsibility, like myself, as a deputy governor of Machakos County, if I don't follow what is laid down, and instead, if I see somebody we are competing, I'm hiring people so that they can go disrupt the normal activities of that person, if, for example, our rallies, so that he or she can be seen to be not so popular. Definitely, there's availability of that resource, because of the high rate of unemployment. Now that it is there, what do we do? I think institutionalism is very important. Constitutionalism is very important. Upholding rule of law. Because if I'm seated here and if I utter anything that annoys somebody or leads to being the other side of the law, why should I be abducted and killed? Why, as a deputy governor, why instead of, for example, ensuring we are providing services that are supposed to be provided for by the county, why should I become the thief? So that instead of delivering those services, now, if you are in a position of leadership, I've heard I'm sitting next to a student's president. If in that position, he or she cannot accept to be asked questions, then you are in the wrong place. So the issue of rule of law, which is enshrined in our constitution, is very important. And sometimes, if we, those who are in the position of leadership, cannot be questioned and we continue hiring people so that we are feared, so that we have a way to deal with our opponents in an orthodox way, then definitely we have a challenge, and this hooliganism will never end.
I have a question for you, Mr. Governor.
Yes.
And I think...
Mr. Deputy Governor.
Oh, Mr. Deputy Governor. Yes. And I think where my frustration comes when it comes to government officials speaking as if you are outside government, yet you have the mandate and power to actually consolidate what truthfully change looks like. So in your all element, mentioning the words you've mentioned, constitutionalism, rule of law, institutionalism, what have you done individually that you think protects Kenyans from hooliganism? Where can we account to your political goodwill?
One, you want me to answer as a deputy governor?
As you?
As a person?
As a deputy governor.
And by the way, as a scholar, I express myself.
That's very good.
Sometimes I might not be that interested to be in a position or not to be in a position. I analyze the issue as it is, and that is who I am. Now, what have I done? One, personally, I believe I follow the law. I will not come here and have my officers chase him so that I can have a seat. If I find a line, I follow like anybody else as a Kenyan. Because here, there's somebody who can walk here and all of us will wake up so that he or she just decides where to sit because of how he or she comes in. That show of might. When we get out of this country, that nonsense is not there. You go and line like anybody else. So, this issue of adherence of rule of law is very critical. And if, as a country, we were following, we will not be talking about abductions in this country.
How are you following it?
Hey, I've just...
How?
I'm a stickler of the law. In the county where I come from.
By the way, you're my deputy governor, just to say.
Oh, most of the Nairobians, they end up in Machakos. So I'm not... So where I come from is I try to follow the regulations, the government processes, and everything touching on the law, I follow.
Okay.
It's simple.
Thank you very much, Deputy Governor. You're watching The Last Word, and we're asking this very critical and simple question. Does Kenya and Kenyans have the political and social will to end this behavior of hooliganism, to end it completely in our politics? This is The Last Word. We're taking a very short break, commercial break. We'll be right back. We'll hear from the researchers themselves, and then we'll hear from the live audience that has told us in the beginning that there's absolutely no will to fight this hooligan behavior. You're watching The Last Word on TV. Don't go too far.
This is The Last Word. This is The Last Word.
All right, welcome back. You're watching The Last Word here on NTV. We have been processing the question, does Kenya have the political and social will to deal and finally handle the question of goons, all right, in our politics? The answers that we've had so far are resounding no. But this question is exercised and actually has been researched by Odipodev, and we have one of the key researchers on this, Darius Okola, political economy researcher at Odipodev. Darius, if you would give him the microphone, a few things and pointers on what exactly you found out when you went out to do this research on goons. And I'm really interested in these insights on specifically why do we need goons in politics. They have to be serving a need, all right? And then the supply, okay? And on why young people then find themselves to be the obvious handle in this.
Yeah, political violence in general and goon culture in particular is not new in our politics. You could go back decades, you know, the Jeshi la Mzee, Jeshi la Kamukunji, 42 Brothers, you know, you can name the names. Every decade we sort of have these groupings of young men ready to do what we call violence for hire, you know. And in particular, in this study, we looked at, when we say, so what we see usually when it comes to headlines is XYZ hires goons, right? But then you know XYZ, it's usually a prominent politician or a businessman. And you know the goons because we see their activity out in the streets. But then in between here, the entire, I'd call them infrastructure of chaos. A machinery that passes the instructions from quote-unquote client to the goons and who pass the money and the information. And so a big part of this study was focusing on who are those people, what kind of arrangement do they have, how do they pass this information, how do they maintain what we'd call plausible deniability of their client, basically. Yeah. And just to illustrate the severity of this issue is the fact that we looked at the 21 counties that have an election, elections coming up in 2 days. And as of the time we released the report, 10 of them had goon activity, significant violence, you know, harm, injuries, loss of property in those respective areas. And so a big part of the why we went into this conversation is to ask ourselves, and especially in light of what happened to Gen Zs last year and this year, we saw a big part of the political reaction to the agitation of the Gen Zs was to release the goons into the streets. And that machinery, that infrastructure has not gone away. It's continued to find new uses for these politicians. It's become fairly lucrative. The whole, what we'd call the goon economy, and everyone who benefits from it. There's particular incentives along the way, both monetary incentive in terms of these young men get paid, but then there's also the middle rank, and some of it is non-monetary in terms of one of the elements that stood out was it's also a path to politics. So there's what we'd call a to politician pipeline, you know. Some of our famous politicians actually started out as goons. I mean, you can mention names, you know. So it is a thing. These are some of the key, you know, insights that came out of it. Yeah.
So a goon makes a very good politician. This is a very good insight. And I think one of the key insights to say also is that there's no difference between a goon and a politician. It's important because if you hire a goon, you're essentially a politician. But in the room, we have people who are claiming to be ex-goons.
Retired goons.
Retired goons. Well, let's couch it better. Maybe retired security officers.
No, political mobilizer.
Political consultant. Yes. Is that better? Please introduce yourself and tell us. Just take us through when you're getting hired, when you're doing this work. What is it that you're solving, and what was the going rate, and why do young people get into this kind of business? It's time for honesty.
Okay, my name is Oshia Uma, and I'm the chairman, Residents Association, Embakasi North. And talking about goonism, I come from Embakasi North. That is where Kariobangi North is now. And we also have elections. And I think we just have bad manners as people, because immediately it was announced that we have a late MCA electioneering started then. And it has been a journey. It means that we doesn't have institutions that cushions the people against constant politicking. And I can tell you in Kariobangi North, it is worse, because you will find women in the past 3 months, women have been in the streets because of 100 shillings and 500 shillings. I think we need to come with a proper guidance on how we do politics, and especially during election times. Because as a former political goon, and as a former mobilizer, you know, I was not a goon per se. I mobilized goons, and you can say, when we are doing campaigns, what we normally used to do is that, okay, when we are doing the budgeting,
yeah,
you have money for visibility, but you also have money for security. And security is not really police. And security is the young men that will cordon the Mheshimiwa whenever he is around.
So for illustration purposes, I want to campaign as the MCA of Kariobangi
North. Yes.
How much would I pay? How many security do I need around me every time?
What does the budget look like?
Yes. So
you need... on a daily basis, you need like around 30 to 50 people around you. And we will be paying them at least 1,000 shillings per person every day. And they also have to eat, because see, you are with them around the table. And that is bad manners. You know, when we say that it is bad manners, because when you are doing the financing, instead of putting security as the police, you will involve the goons. And it is now in every sphere. Like in Dandora, if you want to have a crusade, you'll have to hire goons.
Church crusade? To
chunga the crusade, yes. Because you will not bring in the police. If you want to have a football match, like in Dandora Stadium, you'll have to hire goons. It is just bad manners. We need to, and it goes back to institutionalism. We need to put some things. I can say that you cannot legislate bad manners. We cannot put bad manners in the law. But what we are supposed to do is we must make sure that we sensitize the people. We have done a lot of civic education. Like in Kariobangi, an aspirant wants to buy and he doesn't have money. And he comes and brings a pay bill. But tunasikia mtaani watu watamuuliza, sasa wewe unataka tukuchangie ama tukupee kura? You know, choose one. Do you want our money, or do you want our vote? Do you want our votes? So it is just bad manners. And we lack etiquettes, because the people we want to elect as aspirants, you know, if somebody like ameenda kwa mtu wa suti akakosa kulipa suti, mwenye suti analalamika na huyu jamaa anataka kiti ya MCA, that is a person who tayari ni mwizi. It is already bad manners. So that is what is happening. And
Chairman,
it is all...
Chairman.
Yes.
Now you are chairman of Residents
Association. Yes.
We are not looking at the past life. But in the past life,
yes,
when you were mobilizing and you needed to mobilize, what does that say about what is it that creates the sense of insecurity in the community, to such an extent that even a church meeting needs to have security? Mkutano ya kanisa crusade, why does it need to have security? Whether it's police or hired youth, what is it in the society, in the community, that has created such a high sense of insecurity?
I can say that it is poverty. We need proper economic empowerment in the Eastlands areas. and in those marginalized areas, because we have very many young unemployed people. And these jobs that the government are giving them, like Kazi Mtaani, and you're getting 5,000 per month, is not enough. So you will find that majority of these young people are readily available outside there. They are always there. So if there is a football match and you want the stewards, you will just go for the goons. If in a road show like MTV today, if you have a road show, you cannot have a road show in Dandora without, you will not come with the police. The police will not protect you. But if you have the goons and you have a proper road show and you give them those helmets and the shirts and the and the jackets, and you know, every goon, like a goon in phase 4 cannot be handled by a goon in phase 2. So like when you are in Embakasi North, when you want to go to Kariobangi, you'll have to go for the goons in Kariobangi. And if you are in Dandora, na watu wa Dandora msinichape. Wacha tu niseme tumalize hii mambo. Juu mkipewa majob mtakuwa poa a goon in phase 2 will have to protect phase 2. That is what is happening. So it is a culture that is not only embedded in politics, but it is now in every sphere.
So poverty is the enemy.
It's the enemy.
Poverty is the enemy.
And I have a question.
Yes.
So goonism is also very territorial.
It is very territorial, definitely. I cannot go to Kayole. If I want to go to Kayole, I'll have to use the goons in Kayole. I will not use the goons in Dandora.
And is the budget the same for all these territories, or are they also?
They are all from Eastland, so the budget is the same.
Oh.
All right.
Yes.
Let's move. We have live politician, MCA from. Yes, please introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Explain to us how you've organized your goons. You know, how much you pay them. What's the need? It is okay. You can say they are former goons.
It's freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. I'm giving you a way out, but please introduce yourself.
Kwa majina naitwa Vincent Mutai. I'm coming from Bomet County. I'm the organizing secretary Bomet Unity. So, hii mambo ya goonism haiwezi hisia. Juu vile wanasiasa wanatumianga si vile tunafikiria. Sasa ile hata tuseme huwa mnaonanga, tuseme maybe deputy president anakuja Bomet ama the president himself anakuja Bomet. So wanasiasa mwingine anasema huyu anataka anichukulie, so lazima apange goons yake maybe 100 na waambie waende na washike viti ya mbele. Mwingine amepanga yake, amesema huyu amenipangia, kama umenipangia na kupangia. So alafu unapata mwingine kiamka mpike kelele ati ndio president ajue wewe uko na crown, lakini umelipa crown. Na hiyo shida inatokea, wanatumianga vijana sana. Vijana shida yenye tuko nayo hapa Kenya ni vijana wanamaliza shule. Hata mimi siku nyingine vile nilikuwa nimemaliza shule. So 2012, 2013, election ya 2012, 2013 vile campaign ilianza. So nilitumia vibaya juu unapewa pesa kitu kama 500. Kwani 500 ilikuwa wapi kwa mtu mwenye amemaliza university juzi? Si atashika na ataenda apige kelele. So hii mambo ya goonism haiwezi hisia. Juu hao watu vijana inabidi wapatiwe kazi kwanza. Vijana wakimaliza shule wapatiwe kazi, na vijana wakimaliza shule wafanye kazi yeyote imepatikana saa hiyo. Useme wacha ningoje ati kwa sababu nimemaliza university wacha nipewe kazi hivi. We jitume, enda ufanye hoteli, alafu wanasiasa hawezi kukutumia tena. Hivyo ndio. Thank you.
So let's hear. Okay, pass the microphone to the back. Please hand the microphone to the gentleman. Yes, please. Yes. Please go ahead. Frank. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know whether you asked a question to me. Well, my name is Frank Walukwe. I'm the Deputy Chair of CMD. The Center for Multi-Party Democracy is a corporate entity membership of political parties that have elected leaders in this country. And I sit in CMD courtesy of being the Secretary General of PNU. So through and through, I am politically in these circles. So to go straight into the question, I don't think there is a political, social, or moral goodwill to end political hooliganism. Why? Because there's no morality in poverty. Simply put, poverty dehumanizes. We're in a situation where political hooliganism is an ecosystem. And at the bottom of the food chain are youths who are unemployed and are easy to provide the labor necessary to carry out this hooliganism. Because you can never compare someone who earns 500 shillings as a mason. It's more lucrative to pick 1,000 shillings during political campaigns rather than for you to go and work an entire day to earn 500 bob. Border riders earn about 700 shillings per day. And this is excluding the fuel that you'll use to go around. But all you need to do during political campaigns is go around with a politician, heckle, and you'll get your 1,000 bob. As far as I'm concerned, the greatest beneficiary for such kind of unemployed youth being hooligans is actually the government. If the government, through the security mechanisms, wanted to eradicate political hooliganism, they would, but it benefits the people in government. And they are actually the greatest spenders in any election. It is government. And they come up with these fancy titles, youth empowerment, women empowerment, whatever empowerment. And when you're doing all these empowerment programs, you must have those goons to ensure that there is some kind of order. They don't use the police. Away from even political, these political elections that are ongoing, we all remember that during the Sabasaba protests, there were people who were carrying
clubs.
Those clubs, humongous clubs, and they went around bludgeoning citizens all over. The police stood aside and watched when this was happening. There have been reports from places like Asipul who say that when people were fighting, the police stood aside and watched. So until that time, when the government itself decides that they want to nab this ecosystem in the bud, then this political hooliganism will continue to be a thing for every electoral cycle. So this is nothing right now. Let's wait for 2027. I think it's probably going to be worse. Thank you.
Right. I hear what you're saying, Frank, as even before we come in. And you're saying the government, and I agree, and I can see the government has the resources, very deep pockets, states, public money to deploy. But I think at the root of it is just the politicians. So it's a politician here who has meager resources at his disposal, or another politician who has unlimited resources that are not his money, so he can deploy as much as that. So that comes to the Center for Multi-Party Democracy. The political parties that we have in this country, do they have any sense of moral, social, and political will to end hooliganism? Political parties.
Of course, some do. Some do.
Okay.
Of course, I'd say PNU. As we've tried as a political party, if you aired some of our clips the other day when we met with, they call themselves Goonz, meaning they were goons. Sahi wamesema goonship Z. So they say PNU ni chama ya magunzi. And you see, that's the direction that we need to take. But you must take into consideration that when you go to the ground, there is a recycling of these people. The government uses them, yes, when they're on the ground. When you go to the ground, they simply take off that T-shirt for whatever political party that is. Then they wear your T-shirt for the period that you are there. When you leave, if someone else is coming in, chairman will confirm, then they'll put on that T-shirt again to do whatever they are doing. Why? Because it's an ecosystem.
It's a career.
It's merely a means to an end. It's earning a living. And that's the reason why I'm saying, for as long as the security agencies are not moved sufficiently to end it, then this is something that will be there for years to come.
Okay, let's get some wisdom in the room. Please pass the microphone at the back. I'll need you quick fire. Your name and your contribution.
My name is Ledamo Mediki Meshak. I'm from Narok County. I study at the JKUAT School of Law. My contribution on the same is that indeed there is partial both political and social goodwill in regards to the fighting of political goonism. What we lack, we also have the institutional framework, that is the security sector in the country. What we only lack is the commitment from both sides. You find in the political side,
okay,
both the government and the opposition, they do not have that point of convergence concerning the same. Classic example was during the July, the mandamanos that happened in July. You realize that the opposition were crying foul that the Gen Zs have been invaded by the goons, but when the government retaliates on the other end and said you shoot them at the leg, they go back and say you are killing our children. So you see, that's an example of how the political space is not ready to have one common goal on the social end.
I would have to take one, okay? Because there are many people I need to get other views, all right? Where's the microphone on this side? Please give the lady. Give the lady first. Yes. I'm the one handling the microphone. Where's the microphone here? All right, give the lady. Is the lady on this side? Yes. Yes, okay, let's, please.
Thank you. I am Angehi Victoria, a student from the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. My take on all of this is that social will to end goonism is actually dependent on the political will to end goonism. If, as a maybe freshly finished, graduate, I am tamarking, and when an MP here calls me to be his goon, allow me, his goon for 2,000, 2,000 a day, I am going to willingly be his executive goon. Why? Because it is going to save me a lot of, poverty is
hardship.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am going to make it actually my career, as he had highlighted. I will be his goon. I will be deputy governor's goon tomorrow. Anything, whatever that will give me the money. But if the other day he does not offer the money to me to be a goon, I don't think I will be a goon.
So the problem is the politician?
The political will. That is where
we should start.
Yes.
Very good contribution. The lady on this side, please hand the microphone to the back, to the gentleman in the back. Yes.
Yes,
please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beth Nyambura Kamau, a student leader at Kenyatta University, and also a student leader, a youth leader actually, in Kiambu County. My take on all this, goonism will not end, because violence nowadays in our country, Kenya, is profitable. And I say profitable to our leaders. and it is never punished. As long as I'm using these goons and they are not punished, goonism will not end. That is my take. And another thing to add on, we have our political leaders who are so open on cameras, saying goonism should end and everything, but they are not punishing those people who are on their sides. They are always looking at those people who are their rivals. You see, like for example, I can give an instance on these. Even if like we are not in the mood of campaigns, the Mbere North campaigns, you find that one side is now talking about the other side, bringing a lot of people, tear gassing people, but at the same time, you're finding that these are the same leaders. When they are doing their own campaigns, they are doing the same thing now to their rivalries. And now we need to now come to an agreement whereby these politicians should now at least, even if not for anything else, at least for us as citizens, please, 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 at least, because I'm finding it really bad, because we are the people as citizens who are really suffering with everything. Because you attend a meeting, there was a meeting that happened in Makoyo on Galana petrol station. It was an opening actually. And now you find we are having people being sent, actually even law enforcers, police officers who are being sent to just tear gas people and just ensure that the crowd is dispersed. Surely, what kind of a nation are we living in?
All right.
What kind of a nation are we living in?
What kind of a nation? Where's the microphone on this side? Yes.
So, my name is Dennis Chalo from Kitui Central, and my take, because of time, will be one. I think we have run too far to the young people, and we are not talking about leaders who are acting as goons. I'm sure we've seen a senior leader saying that, unacheza na mimi nitakutoa nguo na nitakuaibisha. You don't have to act, even talking. Out our leaders talking, they are the one who are inciting goons. And in the recent past, we also seen the Inspector General of Police, the speakers are involved in politics. They are campaigning for people. And these are the leaders now whom should be advocating for the rule of law to be followed. But another thing is about the state capture of the state organs which are made to protect the rule of law. This constitution clearly talks about that the power belongs to the people of Kenya, but they may delegate to the leaders. So we as the Kenyans and the citizens, we have the goodwill, but then we don't have the power because we have delegated to the government. Okay. But we expect them to follow the rule of law, to follow the constitution, but they're not doing so. Right. So my nini will be that hooliganism, my conclusion will be hooliganism can end if only we elect the leaders who have the goodwill to do so.
Okay, great. Where's the microphone? Sit down. The gentleman behind. Yes. Okay. All right.
Thank you very much. My name is Tom Juma. I'm TJ Owino from Migori. I'm a mechanical engineer. My take is we have the goodwill, yes, especially following the 2008 election violence, but then there are factors that limit our goodwill. One, our political system rewards the one with more goons and the goons themselves. For example, I was a candidate in an election in 2002. You could not access even funeral if you don't have goons. You could not access even the counting hall if you didn't have the goons. And we have seen goons being rewarded with positions in government and direct token from the politician. The next point is that our political system is not idea-based, but it is interest-based. So you can imagine if I have interest in something, I can use all the means possible to win it. And then on the social aspect, I look at our social construction. Our social constructions are easily triggered by the multipartism system in Kenya. The Luos are grouping in ODM, the Kikuyus are grouping in DCP, and lawyers are grouping maybe in DABK. So this grouping that affects our social constructions make it easier for the goons system to come in. And still on the social construction side, I can say that we have inherited hatred among communities. Take, for example, the Luos and Kikuyus. They are not in good terms politically because of hatred that we inherit from the rift between Kenyatta and Jaramogi. So these are the factors that facilitate, and the fact that we believe that elections are not won, you have to rig yourself. So imagine of a situation where you want to rig an election without using the goons. So these are the factors that I believe are cascading this war and making goonism a serious issue to stop. Thank you very much.
Very good contribution. I need to get two more before I get to the power. Where's the microphone on this side? Yes, please.
Yes, I'm Okelo Stephen, a film producer from Rongowood. And these goons, to deal with them is very easy and very simple. It's just political class and cards that makes these goons to be so superior in this country. So, to deal with these goons is very simple. You as politicians, you don't allow youth's empowerment. That's the reality. And mostly empowerments, the youths are taking the leads in social media platforms, in the entertainment industry. We have musicians, we have dancers, we have filmmakers, we have actors. If you can create a platform for your area, for example, we have an area MCA here. Your area, I know you have musicians, dancers, and actors. You can create a hub, film hub for them, and they get filming, and they get selling the films, and they get paid, rather than accommodating the few goons that you pay 1,000 daily, then other people are suffering outside there. So is you politicians, you are letting this country down. Mr. President there depends on MCAs and MPs, but in your area, what are you doing? Before you talk about two-term, what have you done this first term? So you have to do something like Mr. President has done the affordable housing and is continuing in 47 countries. So that person, if he comes back for two-term, I'll simply give the votes because he has done something. But you as an area MCA, we kazi yako ni, sorry for Kiswahili, you as an area MCAs, your work is to bring goons, distract businesses in the area. So you as area MCA, your work is not only to build the roads, it's also to empower the youths. We have over 20 million youths who are graduates and they are jobless. So do something in empowerment than goons.
Okay. Okay, I'll have to accept the lady. I mean, just, she's been raising her hands, and that should be the last one. Then we'll come here.
Yeah. Juliet Nyabuto, Jubilee Youth League. For me, it's to, he's mentioned that goonism is an ecosystem. I remember way back in campus, I joined when Sonu was transitioning to UNSA. And I remember those days, because I vied during UNSA leadership, you couldn't walk around the University of Nairobi without goons. You had to have goons on payroll. It stems back to way back to even to schools. Like, you look at someone like Babu Owino, he's really benefited in politics because of goonism. Another thing I wanted to mention is...
Can you explain that? You can just say that and then walk away.
No, like you can look, when he used to say, leo kutakuwa na maandamano, when he was in Sonu, you'd see that the roads would be closed that day, there'd be no peace. For us who are in class, we'd be told, musipo gonga desk, hamwezi toka nje, and there'll be a lot of recklessness.
Maybe just a popular guy.
And okay, you can take that. Another thing is, we have, I've done a comparative analysis. Let's compare. In Kasipul, we have ODM versus the independent guy. What happened is, she's also spoken about institution, strengthening our institutions. We saw what IBC did. These guys were given, what is it called?
A fine.
A fine to pay. And then we compare it with what happened in Kisii the other day, or is it Nyamira the other day? We saw goons from the government, from UDA, coming to attack goons from UPA, and no one has been brought to book. Again, it begs the question, is it only fair when government is not involved, or is it fair when government is involved? Those are the questions we need to ask.
All right. Latif.
Well,
I think I'm hearing a lot of what's being said here. There's the word ecosystem. There's poverty and the link between this entire trade of goonism and poverty. For example, you are a youth. You finished. You've graduated from university, from school. You've cleared school. You don't have a job. So this is an opportunity that comes, and it's easy money. I just need to be there, be part of a crowd, and I'll be paid. Some people go just to be part of a crowd, while there are few who will be the ones who have an idea. I'm sure, Mr. Chairman, you'll confirm. There are some who are just members of a crowd, and there are some who have another brief, an extra brief of what to do with a crowd, right? So there's a whole linkage here between the economic situation of our country and then what leads to people ending up in these situations where they take up money to be goons. If we start sorting out backwards, we can sort out forwards. It'll take a lot of time to do that. The other question is, do the politicians actually want an economically empowered populace? Like Frank said, if the government of the day actually wants to use this jobless youth for mobilization and to show popularity, that we do a rally here and it's an empowerment program, and we have thousands of people coming to sing praises, say that the government is delivering, then you want them to be in that constant
continuously.
I think you have to go back to this chicken and egg situation. Our politicians are a product of an electoral system that we all somehow subscribe to. Rigged or not, we have to answer the question, so who has the most power? Who should resolve the problem that we have? I personally don't think the Kenyan politicians can autocorrect. I think it's incumbent upon us as citizens, as voters, to do a bit more, right? To start changing how we think and how we vote, and the people who give power and attention in that sense. So I completely don't think there's any politician that can change our lot. None. Even the one to be born, they're not going to change our lot. It's the Kenyan people who can change our system. And we have to think and agree that the votes that we give to the people who are most violent, the people who are, promising, heaven and delivering the quarter bits are our enemies. And we have to make sure that we vote those people out, as opposed to say those people need to help us, to solve this problem. This system benefits them.
Very true. And as we conclude, because again, it's good we paraphrase how important it is to connect the political, economical, social, and moral obligation of both politicians and citizens. But there's some key drivers that have continued to be raised in this discussion, and 38.9% of youth unemployment is a credible analysis to pinpoint to why we're seeing a lot of victimization of civilians being used for hooliganism. Patronage politics, whereby the politics in Kenya is categorically on favors, rewards, and loyalty. And therefore, issue-based politics tends to be diminished because issue-based politics do not want to buy you. They tend to deal with the problems, right? And then there's, of course, low accountability, few prosecutions of political instigators. And then there's a lot of barriers that are happening when it comes to actual real change. And most of the time, political leaders may still want to rely on gangs during elections, like we've just had within our discussion. It's either at the voters' time, it's either for protection and security, meaning there's also not a constant trust with enforcement and law of our police officers. There's also weak enforcement of existing laws, which happen to, we have to a whole constitution that is very progressive, yet enforcement is still back in colonial times.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of it, and it's coming out even from the audience on all these points gleaned so far. But I think it's We live in a society where we've all experienced goons in one way, in one form, shape, or another. And there are people here who also are willing to just share their experiences and their perspectives on this. So even before we come into the last word and see what's the last word, hear a bit more of what exactly is the situation on the ground. For instance, SMART says, let us as the citizens make that decision to elect the right leaders. That comes to the social will. But SMART, the room here said, we don't have the social will. How do we actually now get the social will from the citizens to actually get rid of hooliganism? If it's a source of income for many.
Yeah. And this is a problem, like I said, the chicken and egg. And yes, and I want to, even before we go to the last one, maybe get one or two from here. But I still think and insist that the Kenyan public remains quite uninformed about the rights and powers that we citizens have. And the power we have, we're quite uninformed. I do not think, first we need to run around any politician, right? We are the employers, and generally are the employers. Try one day, for just experiment purposes, wherever you are, try give politicians no attention, just for a day, and see what will happen in this country.
Here, we have 3 politicians.
Just try give them no attention. They won't like it, all right? Much more you'd agree, If Kenyans just, don't flock around, your offices, your vehicles, and everybody you do, you'd find another thing to do. You'd want to be competent, all right? And say, maybe these people I need to work on the healthcare, that health facility needs to be fixed, as opposed to all these people who are lining up, wanting 50 shillings, 100 shillings. But the gentleman there has been willing to talk for a minute. And I want the solutions now, because we're just about to get to wind down. How do you experience goons from where you are? Please stand up and tell us your name. And then what do you think that as people, as citizens, we need to do?
My name is Felix Wambua, the National Coordinator, Free Kenya Movement.
Could you speak a bit louder?
Felix Wambua, my name's the National Coordinator, Free Kenya Movement. For me, from the discussions we have had today, I would say that leaders are a reflection of the society. When you realize that things are not moving in the country, in the society, why? Because you are politicking from the day of election to the next election. And through all this time, it's goons who are at work. When maybe you're going to launch a project, you send some 2 buses on ground to kutayarishia ground. When these things are happening, remember, there is some misappropriation of funds happening somewhere. This is making elections and politics so expensive for the right people to come into this arena. It is like disenfranchising the political space for some people or for some age groups in the society. Young people today will not like it because they saw what happened the other day on the streets. The protests were so beautiful, were so enjoyous, until when the so-called leaders who are masters of violence chipped in with their hired goons, who now have transformed to goonzies. We believe that if this country could be led by the young people who hate to see blood, who love one another and take care of each other. You have seen how they mobilize on TikTok, on social media, and they are supporting each other. We would be a better society. So today, as we move out of this hall and as we conclude the conversation, we want to speak to the world that Kenyans, East Africans love peace, but the leaders we have will only cling to power through violence. And the violence may not be a tool to intimidate us. We will still keep fighting even with those goons that you are going to hire. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Yes. I am looking for 2 things. How do we fix our politics? I hope you have solutions for us. Okay. Please. What is your ideas on how do we fix our politics? How do we fix our politicians? That's what.
My name is Boniface from Karachuanyo constituency.
but based in Nairobi. Now, in my conclusion, politicians have particularly used the youths as their playground, because once they empower the youths, they lose relevance, because goons are youths. There's no old man who is a goon. So the only way is by we, the youths, the Gen Zs, making a proper decision when it comes to elections. I mean the upcoming elections and the by-elections, that these people don't constantly use young people.
All right.
And to add on that, the political and social goodwill, we should also include the economic goodwill, because the three pillars are fundamental for development. Because some of the politicians are actually funded by the businessmen. So economists, the economics is also very important. So the businessmen should also come on board, that we kill the tree and also remove the stump.
Okay.
Thank you.
Give the lady the microphone at the back. Yes, please, stand up. Yes.
Okay, I'm Faith Owino from Jomo Kenyatta University, a student leader. So my take on this, as like citizens and the youths, we need to let go something that we inherited from our, let me say, if not our parents, but or even our grandparents. Like for example, I'm talking about tribalism. Like for example, there is this hatred between the Luos and Kikuyus. So for instance, if a Kikuyu politician, back then before there was that, before they came together, back then if a Kikuyu politician was coming to Siaya, and then a Siaya politician, now a Luo, is telling me to go to be a good, to go and be a goon, I'll willingly go, even if I'm not being paid, because there is that hatred. So I'll just be a goon willingly. So first of all, we need to let that thing go, that hatred, because as youths, kwa social media tunasema we are cousins, but kwa ground vitu things are very different. For instance, when the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga died, the Kikuyus were the people who were there, they were sending some hatred messages to Luos. So that means that tribalism is still there. And then another thing, politically, there is political impunity. Like these politicians, they will do these things, they will hire goons, and then there is no good action that will be taken against them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Thanks. You've spoken?
No.
You've spoken?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I've really tried this time. So my name is Kevin Ochengogola. I'm from Suba South constituency, but I'm studying at the Catholic University of East Africa. Actually, we're looking at the solution of this hooliganism. I will only have one solution that I think will be much convenient to our fellow youths. I guess when we form some youth groups, then we register these groups, then in these youth groups we can do some community outreach activities, like doing even the civic education to our fellow youths, who will really bring that idea of our work as youth is not only to be hired by 100 bob to go south 1 term or 2 term, but ideologically we should be really be getting those that will really benefit us as youth. Secondly, our politicians, this is for you people. If we are not keen, in 30 years to come, we'll turn into a goon zone, or like a city like Haiti, where every person can do anything, because we find these people are using our fellow youths, and the goons that they are using, even if they are arrested, you will never find them in police station. They will be released just because of that. So I guess our politicians should really look onto this and know that this country belongs to all of us, not only them.
Not to some of us.
Yes.
Where's the microphone here? The gentleman at the back has been raising. Yes, please, you.
Jules Haba Mogori, and solution number one kumaliza hooliganism in this country ni kuhakikisha kwamba IEBC, institution kama DCI, NCIC wamefanya kazi bila kupigiwa firimbi na wanasiasa. Wanahakikisha kwamba wanasimama katika mkono wao wa kufanya kazi wao wenyewe katika taifa, na pia kuhakikisha kwamba sisi vijana na wananchi wote tusinunue amani kwa shilingi 500, kuhakikisha kwamba tunalinda amani ya nchi yetu. Na tukumbuke kwamba unapokuwa unatumiwa kama goon wakati wa siasa, umezoea kupewa 500, 1000. Siasa ikiisha na hauna kazi, unasota, mwisho unageuka kuwa mwizi na kupiga wenzako ngeta. Asante.
Take the microphone to the lady. Yes.
My name is Nyaboke Margaret from Nairobi. Yeah, for me, the solution, I think, is for if the politicians can stop financing the hooligans.
Why would they do that?
They will do that if they could be meaning their words, because in public you find that they are condemning hooliganism, but in privately they are impressing it, and they are happy about it, because these hoons are the ones that they are like their worshippers. They are the ones that they are going there chanting their names, and they love that. They love that support because they love the noise that comes from the goons. So if only they can stop financing the goons, then these youths can be looking for an alternative way for survival and stop following them.
Okay, two last comments from here before I come close to the panel here. Yes, the gentleman. Yes, you.
Okay, my name is Brian Onyango, a student leader at Pan Africa, and from Homa Bay. What I'll say about this, the solution, number one, you know, we are learned people as youths, and when we get out from school there, the government promised that is, they are going to give us employment. Yet after school, there is no employment we are getting. Now, we are being conned in this way. We are conned so that we can be used for because of 100 shillings. Yet, you went to university, you studied your course, and graduated, being promised that you are going to get a job. So, it is upon us to stop this by our own. We need those things that we were promised. We are supposed to insist on the employments that we were promised. About tribalism, here also, this one can also bring goonism. We get that we as youths, we have different tribes. We are supposed to get places, or we are supposed to get platform. The way we are very live in the social media, saying a lot of things, can we get also time there so that we cannot follow those things that were said by late Jaramogi and Kenyatta? Why can't we speak on our own and say we be one?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I need to get to my front panel to give my final remarks because time has, please, let's let the microphone come to the front. Let's start from this side. Yes. Just as the final remarks, make it a minute or less, so that the microphone can move this side here.
Thank you. While I disagree that the citizens of Kenya are uninformed on their rights, because I think generally in this region, we are the most informed of our rights.
How?
Kenyans,
give me a data point. One.
Kenyans will litigate on everything because they know what they deserve and what the Constitution actually says.
I'll give you a sort of chance at start. That is not Kenyans who litigate. It is the social groups and the civil society. That's not Kenyans, all right?
Well, as a litigator and as an advocate, I tell you differently. But while we disagree on that, I agree with you that society will have to shift first, other than the politicians. Yes. And my solutions will be threefold. First, professionalization of independent offices. And this, you will realize, shifts from the politicians. If you ask anyone in Kenya today about independent offices that are actually independent. They'll probably just give you two. OAG, control of budget. The speaker probably takes instructions from the president. The police campaigns with the president. DCI is always standing by the president when some of these ills are taking place. So once the independent offices actually become independent so that they are accountable to the people and not to the state, that will be the step number one towards ending this. 2, poverty eradication. Because for as long as poverty exists, then these are things that will continue. And the blueprint to poverty eradication was actually put out by PNU in 2008. Vision 2030 is there. If they do not know how to do it, they can read the PNU party constitution, or they wait for us to form government and we'll do it.
Okay.
Number 3,
the final one.
Intentional societal shift. The society has to intentionally decide that they are going to focus on issue-based politics. If you've ever traveled out of the country and been in a country where there's an election, especially in Europe, you don't even realize that there's an election. Everything is going on normally. People go to work. There are no people huddled up on the streets. But in Kenya, even a by-election in a ward, that particular ward comes to a standstill. So that will be my proposition. Thank you.
Yes, you can clap. You can clap. Right.
I think a big part of how we end the whole goon culture is to ask ourselves, what is the incentive for everyone on that, on the infrastructure? What is in it for these young men? And one of the interesting things that stood out from the study was there was the money thing, but then there's also an admiration thing. And I think you've seen some of it on TikTok where they say, Governor tunasimama na wewe, MP tunasimama na wewe. And it's interesting that in the world, the only people they can admire is politicians. So it's not always that 1,000 shillings. Some of these young men, they look at these politicians and they see a sense of these are our heroes. You know, these are the people we look up to. So that as an incentive for them. On the political side, there's a big part of it which is, if I'm going to a neighborhood, and this came up a lot, if I'm going to a neighborhood where I'm not sure the police will guarantee my safety and I'm going to campaign, then I'll carry my 30, 40 young men, you know. It's a gap in our policing framework that politicians will inevitably tell you, I need these young men. I cannot afford to be on the ground, and I do not have the capacity to defend myself if things go sideways. In fact, the key phrase they're saying is, if you're anywhere within the city and you cannot summon 15 young men in 5 minutes, don't go into politics. You know, I mean, it's that dire for politicians. So you have to think about the serious gap in our policing framework. Yeah.
Okay, Chairman, 30 seconds.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have dwelled too much on the goons that are more male. But I think in Islands we have women who are paid to heckle people. You go to church and you want to say something that they don't like and they will heckle you. And they're paid. And they're also goons, those women. And that is in Islands. And I think the solution is that we must, if we want to get solution to these problems, we must make sure that politics or elective seats are not profitable. Because in the US, if you want to make money, you go to business, and if you go to business. But in Kenya, if you want to make money, you go to politics. Let us make politics not lucrative completely. Let us make sure that we get rid of the CDF, and we get rid of the NGAF, and we make sure that the MPs stick to the agenda, that is legislation, representation, and what is the other one?
Oversight.
Oh, and oversight. Yes. The MCA is the same. In that way, we will ensure that we have a proper country and a good country for all of us. Thank you.
Okay. Deputy Governor, what is your solution? 30 seconds on how we finish this. Take us home. As a politician, what will it take you and your cabal of good politicians do not...
We be held to account. We uphold our constitution. It is there. Secondly, I'm a strong believer of devolution. Let's make devolution our counties, centers of creativity, innovation, and all this. It is going to, Kenya can easily become a startup nation where even our regional brothers and sisters can find work in Kenya. And finally, is the issue of, let's not, I'm hearing issue-based, and I'm thinking of a state building. If I'm dishonest, how am I going to have that state building? If I say this and I do the opposite once I'm in power, how am I going to ensure the country grows? Which example am I setting as a leader? So it is out of this listening, public engagement, that you are going to generate and come up with the policies that are pro the country, pro citizen, pro youth, pro everyone, and at the end we will have a country that is prosperous. Thank you.
All right, Latif.
Well, that has been a journey, and thank you so much for the contributions. Unfortunately, we have to stop. We can always have this conversation over and over, and thank you so much to the audience as well. But it's clear, and I won't even add on to the amazing insights we've gotten from our panelists. Kenya shows some essence of political and social will to end political hooliganism, but there's a deep-rooted political interest, economic pressures, and weak enforcement that continue to make a full end unlikely without sustained reform. So as we look forward to the general elections in 2027, and as we continue to observe the by-elections that are about to happen on Thursday in this country, let us continue to educate civically and to remind Kenyans that at the end of the day, we are giving our direct democracy up to politicians to serve our interests. And so accountability still very much remains with us as citizens, and of course working hand in hand with the politicians and the leaders that we choose to continue to serve us as a people of Kenya. Once again, as a reminder, it is the 16 days of activism, and in full portfolio, I'm wearing a purple scarf to support the women, and especially as we walk in this march towards ending gender-based violence and femicide in the country. And as usual, we'll see you again on Tuesday, every single Tuesday at the last word. Thank you so much for being with us. Good night.